All right, people, what's up? What is happening? Welcome to another episode of the Meathead on the Mic podcast, people. Hope you all enjoying yourselves. Hope you're having a good Wednesday so far. We're going to be talking about something kind of vulnerable, but I'm going to be breaking down, at least in the most simplest way, where this thing comes from. This thing that some of us men deal with. Um, Bodybuilders and regular human beings alike, not regular human beings in a demeaning way, but you know what I'm saying. We're going to talk about it. Where do man boobs come from? And also, we're going to talk about how to get rid of them. Okay. So stick around. We're going to be breaking the ice, having that uncomfortable conversation that we need to have in order for you to become the best version of your damn self. Okay. So join. Let me know how your day is going once you do join. And feel free to ask questions, drop comments along the way. Okay. This is going to be on the shorter side of live streams slash podcasts because there's something I'm dealing with right now. Kind of like a quick emergency that I was notified about last minute. So I've got to go attend the hospital. All right. So that's something that I got to do. So today's going to be super quick. Today's going to be super fast, right to the point. All right. So without wasting any time, we're going to dive into this podcast in five, four, three, two, and one. Yo, what's good, meatheads? Hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome to another episode of the Meathead on the Mic podcast. It's your host, IFBB Pro Matt Butale, coming at you with another topic. Today, we will be talking about where man boobs come from and how to get rid of them. But before we dive in, I want to let you know you're welcome to join the Meathead Monsters Club, which is a Facebook community where you get to meet other meatheads like yourself online. All right. Don't forget to share, screenshot, this podcast to your IG story, show support. It goes a long way. I really do. I really would appreciate that. Also, if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask me, or if you'd like to tune into the live recordings to see exclusive behind the scene footage, you can search for Matt Butale on Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, shameless plug, subscribe to my YouTube channel for extra meathead content. All right. You know what's good, people? Let's dive into the meat and potatoes. Let's embrace our inner meathead today. Let's have uncomfortable conversation that we know you need to have in order to be the best version of yourself. All right. So this pertains to you specifically if you have this problem, if you struggle with man boobs, you know, it's very, this one today is going to be very quick. It's going to be very straight to the point. Um, there is quite a bit to take in, but I'm going to try my best to not use as many words as possible to explain it. All right, because it is a very simple thing. Okay, so what are man boobs? Right, we know what they look like, but where do they come from? Like, what are they essentially? Like, why do men get boobs? I thought that was only for chicks, right? So, well, it has something to do with chicks, and you're gonna understand why real quick. So, it's a collection of fat around the nipples, and it's called gynecomastia. All right. Gynecomastia happens because of a hormone imbalance. So think of it this way, and I said it's related to chicks, and I wasn't lying. So we're gonna just bear with me. So there's testosterone and there's estrogen. Testosterone is the male hormone. Estrogen is the female hormone. Both men and women carry both of these hormones. But if you're a man, biologically speaking, testosterone is going to be higher than the estrogen. And if you're a woman, it's vice versa, right? Biologically speaking, right? So what happens is these two hormones have different functions. One is more on the feminine side, one is more on the masculine side, which is why if you see, for example, a female that's been abusing PEDs, her voice gets deeper. She may grow facial hair, more of a pronounced jawline or facial structure, right? More muscle mass, right? So these are things that we would consider masculine traits by genetically or at least biologically speaking, masculine traits. And then there's on the flip side the same thing with estrogen. And let me just throw this joke out there because I'm a fucking meathead, but the soy boys, that's a perfect example of the opposite of what a woman on testosterone would be, right? So a man that is typically extremely overweight, extremely docile, lacks many masculine traits, higher pitched voice, less, if any, facial hair at all. Sometimes this could be a genetic predisposition, but most of the time, especially for the listeners, those of you watching the live stream and listening to this podcast, it's due to your lifestyle habits, mainly your nutrition and your level of exercise and caloric expenditure. Okay. But just to break it down, gynecomastia, man boobs, that comes from a hormone imbalance. And essentially, what happens when men get gynecomastia is that their estrogen levels rise up past a certain point where now they start to attribute or at least get more feminine features, right? Either, lacking, the ability to grow a full facial hair or facial hair at all, your voice being really high, being weak, and I'm not just picking on the person. I'm just saying these are typically some things or symptoms that people that have man boobs are like can associate with because it's a part of the way that they live their life, and that is mainly conducive as to why they have man boobs. It's not just like you eat a lot, you get fat, and you get man boobs. Like the types of foods you eat, processed foods, things of that sort, have chemicals in them that can also create a hormone imbalance and give you man boobs without you having to even be morbidly obese. Like you could just be on the heavier side and just get man boobs. Like you could still even somewhat not even have a protruding gut. Like, yeah, you got some fat on you. Maybe you might be skinny fat, but like you could still get, gyno because of the food selection, because you're eating like 90, 80% of the time, processed foods. And these processed foods contain, chemicals in them, um, and like matrices in them that will cause your body to react in a negative way, in an adverse way, like in a way where you're able to produce more estrogen than testosterone if you are a biological male, which is not what you want because that's what's going to give you more of those feminine traits, as estrogen is a feminine hormone. Okay. um so we understand that gynecomastia comes from a hormone imbalance. But what causes some of these hormone imbalances? Well, for most people, as I just mentioned, it's processed food. But in conjunction with that, it's the lifestyle. Okay, so what are some activities that increase estrogen? What are some things that increase estrogen? So we know processed foods cause that. Lack of physical activity in men causes an increase in estrogen. Okay. And also something that you guys didn't know, maybe some of you didn't know. I'm sure my true at the heart meatheads know what I'm going to talk about before I bring it up. But gynecomastia isn't even exclusive to people that are like fat or eating processed foods all the time. Gyno can come from PEDs and abuse of PEDs. Why? Because when you look at it, PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, often include other hormones, right? Test, so many other hormones, right? And when they, use these PEDs, their hormones fly out of whack, right? Because you're introducing exogenous things and you have to be able to balance it, right? So sometimes what you'll find is that extremely muscular people, bodybuilders, can still actually, acquire gyno, and that's just due to the fact that it's down to the hormone, right? And that their hormones are off and that they need to regulate some things again, right? So I just wanted to let you know that it's not only exclusive to the quote unquote soy boy. Excuse me if you're offended, but not really, because I already let you know that we're gonna have some lighthearted banter. We meet heads in this bitch, so I want to let you know that. All right, so yeah, it's a reality, right? So you don't only have to be fat to acquire gyno, man boobs, okay? But this is directed to the men that are fat that have man boobs, because the bodybuilders that have man boobs, again, it's from PED abuse, and that's something that they can control, and they usually find their way out of it anyway. But this is for you if you're lost on where your man boobs have come from, and if you really want to know how to get rid of them. Okay. So moving forward, all right, you're probably asking yourself, can I reverse this? Am I too far gone? All right. So for most people that are obese, it's more or less irreversible, but you can reduce it. All right. You can reduce it by eating foods that are conducive to helping you produce more testosterone and reduce your estrogen levels. For example, like eggs, avocado, dark leafy greens, berries, and other whole foods that you can digest easily. So, keyword whole foods that you can digest easily. Okay. Stay away from this. Just try your best to stay away from eating processed foods regularly, right? Have them every once in a while. There's no issue with that. But if you're constantly eating processed foods with chemicals that you cannot fucking pronounce, I assure you those chemicals that you're consuming that you can't fucking pronounce are contributing to your increased estrogen levels, which combats your low testosterone levels because you're not even exercising, you're eating whole foods and things of that sort. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's one way you can start to reverse it. Again, you got to be consistent with it. So another way that you can speed up the reduction of gyno, of man boobs, of bitch tits, whatever you want to call it, is by training, especially training hard on leg days. Okay. So if you can train hard, like real hard on leg days, and just in general train consistently, your caloric expenditure goes up, but also your muscle mass will go up because you'll be training hard, you'll be training heavy, you'll be training consistently, and in conjunction with that, eating whole foods that align you in a certain direction to either burn the fat, build the muscle, or do both at the same time, which is possible. You can burn fat and build muscle at the same time, which is what I would recommend because it is most sustainable. But that's a topic for another day. So, guys and girls, mainly guys, because I assume girls don't want to reduce their man boobs because they don't fucking have man boobs. So, so dudes, bros, meatheads, you could definitely speed up the reduction of the gyno, of the man boobs, the bitch tits, whatever you want to call it, by training hard consistently, and especially on leg days. And leg days, the reason why you want to make sure that you train really hard on leg days is because, well, first of all, your legs are your largest muscle group, and we have the most androgen receptors in our legs, which means that when we do produce natural testosterone, most of it will be absorbed through our largest muscles, and legs are one of our largest muscles. Of course, we have receptors on our shoulders and our traps and things of that sort, but your legs carry most of your receptors. So if you can really train legs hard, you can pretty much just think of it like absorbing as much testosterone as your body will produce, because your body doesn't absorb all the testosterone it produces, right? So training legs gives your body that extra edge, to be able to absorb the rest of the test that you produce. Also, when you get those muscle groups larger, you'll have more muscle on your frame, and the more muscle that you have on your frame, the more calories that you'll burn by doing nothing, because muscle is calorically expensive, more calorically expensive than fat, also. So that means you'll be burning more calories doing nothing and when you're training, because the muscle's growing, which will bring you more closer to an anabolic state. An anabolic state is just a state where, you know, you're getting leaner and your body's producing the optimal amount of testosterone to keep you healthy. Okay, so keep that in mind. Train hard, train regularly, eat well, okay, and eat well regularly. Okay, these are key tips. Like, these are actually the only things that you can really do at this point to reduce your man boobs, your gynecomastia. Okay, and you have to do this for a long period of time, right? And likely it's going to be in the process or a byproduct of you losing 20 to 30 to 40 pounds, even depending on how overweight you are. Make sense? Okay, so now you're probably asking yourself, well, you said, Matt, it's reversible, bro. You said it's reversible, but how do I fucking get rid of it? Like, I don't want man boobs anymore. I don't want gynecomastia anymore. How do I get rid of it? What do I do in order to get rid of the man boobs? Like, that's something you're probably asking, because I told you how to reduce it, but now you want to know how to get rid of it permanently. So let's, like, what happens, for example, if you lose 20 to 30 pounds and you still have gyno? Okay, so this is something that it does exist. Like, I've seen people deal with this. I've got friends that have dealt with this, and past clients that have dealt with this. But this is something I kind of don't want to recommend, because it sort of gives you the notion that it's like a quick fix, but it's really not. Okay, so the last option, which isn't one that I'd recommend, because I've, not only how costly it can be in North America, but just how, in a sense, unethical it is, because it is cosmetic. It's almost like plastic surgery, is surgery, right? Gynecomastia removal surgery. Okay, you can pay a doctor to remove the gynecomastia in your chest, but that's only once you've eliminated most of the fat surrounding your nipple area and your chest, and you'll see just basically a tiny bit of man boob protrusion, if you will, bitch tip protrusion. All right, you should probably wear a bra. No, I'm just joking. But you could consider getting surgery for cosmetic reasons at that point, because like you've already got rid of most of the fat, if not all of it, on your chest, but you still have that one area like around your nipples that's just like hanging, like it just looks swollen. Looks like a baby was just suckling on it for like 10 hours, right? So you want to get rid of that, and I fucking get it. Like, it's just not appealing. It's probably the main reason why you decided to even lose to 20 to 30 pounds in the first place, because you thought that would go too. Okay, so if that's something that you want to deal with, if that's something that you struggle with, then definitely surgery is on the table. It's an option, but only after you actually start living healthier, only after you actually start eating healthier, training consistently. Because just to break it down simply, you could get the gyno surgery and still get gyno. So it's not all perfect. Just because you get the surgery, it doesn't mean that you don't need to maintain, a healthy lifestyle and a healthy hormonal balance. Because the gyno will return. It's a byproduct of not having a healthy hormone imbalance, whether you're taking PEDs or not. Right? It has it's mostly related to what you're eating, how you're eating, and how you're training, and of course the frequency of all of those things that I've mentioned. Okay, like, I'll be honest with you, this practice is something that I usually see other bodybuilders do in order to polish their physique after reversing hormonal imbalances that cause them to get gyno in the first place. So I don't actually see a lot of average human beings. And when I say average, I'm just trying to distinct between bodybuilders and non-bodybuilders. I don't really see non-bodybuilders actually going out to get gyno surgery, simply because it's like, once they lose a 30 to 40 to 50 pounds and they're no longer overweight, most of them are okay with the way they look, even with the little bit of bitch tip protrusion, we'll say. But it is an option. It's on the table if you just 100% want to get rid of it after you've dropped all the fat and all the fat around your chest and your nipple area. You can definitely take advantage of that. It's a resource that you could utilize, only if you are continuously living that lifestyle of eating clean, training consistently, and doing and training hard at that as well, over a long period of time, if anything, for your life, like making that commitment to just train. Maybe it's 3 days a week for the rest of your life, and eat clean 80% of the time for the rest of your life, right? Because then that's how you keep your hormone balance in check. And I'm speaking mainly from the corner of being a natural athlete and just like a natural person that doesn't use PEDs. But if you do use PEDs, of course, there are many other variables for you to take into account, given that you're introducing exogenous hormones. Make sense? All right, guys. Now it's time to take action. If you like this episode, share it out with a friend. Hopefully, a friend that has bitch tits or whatever, because they probably really need to hear this. All right. So I hope I was able to deliver a valuable experience to you today. Thank you so much for your precious time and attention. Also, if you want to lose 25 pounds and become a part of the Natural Nomad Academy, the coaching company that I'm the head coach of, feel free to DM me and I'll see if it'd be a good fit. All right. P.S. I will not be monetizing this podcast with ads because I respect your time and I simply just want you to get the value straightforward. Okay. So don't forget to screenshot and share this podcast to your IG story to show support. Let's embrace your inner meathead together. All right. It's been nice chatting. Hope you like what today's topic was about. Natural IFBB Pro Matt Butale signing out. Boom. All right, people. Podcast is rolled up. It's recorded. New username .1 asks a question, says, can you be obese and not have gyno? Absolutely, but it's very unlikely. The reason why is because if you're obese, you so not only are you out of whack when it comes to your general health, right? Like you have a lot of fat on your body, at least more fat than we would call healthy, at least. And that's a little bit of a strain on your heart and a little bit of strain on your bones and so many other things, right? So that's just the physical aspect itself. But the hormonal aspect, you're likely going to have an imbalance of hormones, man or woman, if you are obese, because to get obese, you're going to have to consume a ridiculous amount of calories without doing pretty much any physical activity. On top of that, the food selection of those that are obese, not even typically, is pretty much 100% uh, processed foods and junk food and things of that sort, which do contain the chemicals that will give your body like an adverse response when it comes to like a negative reaction to a hormone imbalance, which will likely give you gyno. So I don't think I've ever seen a fat person without gyno. That's just me though, like that's anecdotal, but I'm sure if there was one person or a few people without gyno that were obese, there would be like the outliers. There would be the lucky people because it just happens. Like when you accumulate fat, in your body, like you're gonna get fat there too. It's not like you just don't get fat in your chest for some reason, but maybe it could be a genetic thing for them. Don't know. But I'll tell you personally, I would say that I'd say that it's impossible actually to be obese and have gyno at the same time. But there are probably people that are obese and don't have gyno. So you couldn't quote me on that, right? I don't know everybody in the world, but chances are you have gyno if you're obese, if you're a man. Because for women, it's just you just got bigger tits, right? um, Cool. All right, people. That's it. That's all. I appreciate you for giving your time today. I've got to run out. I got an emergency to deal with. But we'll be back again tomorrow with another live stream topic, with another podcast episode. You know what's good. Check me out on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That's where you can check the recaps for these live streams, podcasts, so you can get a double dip at the information that I shared with y'all. All right. You know what it is. We signing out, baby. Peace.